You could feel the electricity in the Fox News studio, thick and crackling like the air before a storm, as the cameras panned slowly across the set, their red lights blinking ominously like silent warning signs. Karoline Leavitt, the 27-year-old White House press secretary, stood just off stage in her crisp navy suit, her fingers flexing rhythmically around the microphone as if she were mentally rehearsing every possible scenario. The crowd's murmurs swirled around her, creating this tense, buzzing undercurrent. Some people leaned forward in their seats, eager for the spectacle, while others sat rigid with their arms crossed, their skepticism already etched into their expressions. Then, without warning, the energy shifted to boom. In walked Robert De Niro like he owned the entire damn building, his Hollywood swagger commanding every eye in the room as he dropped smoothly into his chair. "Let's be honest here," he said, flashing that famous, self-assured smirk that had charmed millions on screen. "Trump's a disaster, and Leavitt's just his puppet." The studio erupted, cheers and boos collided in a cacophony of noise. Someone even let out a sharp whistle, while Leavitt remained perfectly still, watching from the wings, her eyes narrowing ever so slightly, like a chess player already 3 moves ahead in a game no one else even realized had begun. De Niro pushed himself up from his seat now, pacing slowly across the stage with the same deliberate, predatory grace he'd used in a dozen mob movies, his expensive suit catching the studio lights just right, making him look like he'd stepped straight out of a magazine spread. "Come on, people," he said, his voice dripping with that actor's perfect timing, the kind that made every word land like a punchline. "We all know Trump's playing you. And this kid?" He jerked a thumb carelessly toward the wings where Leavitt stood, his expression oozing condescension. "She's just reading lines they feed her." The audience ate it up. The liberals burst into applause, their faces alight with vindication, while the MAGA crowd grumbled, shifting uncomfortably in their seats. Backstage, Leavitt's assistant moved like lightning, practically sprinting toward her with an iPad clutched in both hands, shoving it into her grip. "Check this," De Niro slobbering over Obama back in 2016, the assistant hissed, barely containing their excitement. Leavitt's mouth did this little twitch, not quite a smile, more like the flicker of satisfaction when you see the perfect card to play in a high-stakes game. Leavitt stepped out onto the stage then, and man, you could hear every sharp click of her heels against the floor, each one sounding like the ticking of a countdown clock. De Niro was still lounging in his chair, his posture relaxed, his expression smug. He thought he'd already won. "So, Mr. De Niro," she began, her voice calm but laced with this razor-sharp edge, "you're calling me a puppet?" And then, bam, the screen behind them lit up with video footage of De Niro himself, years earlier, gushing over Obama with the same fervor he now reserved for his criticisms. The crowd made this collective OOH sound, the kind you hear when someone gets utterly humiliated in public, like a verbal dunk heard around the world. De Niro's face did this hilarious, involuntary twitch, his confidence faltering for the first time all night as Leavitt pressed on, her voice steady and relentless. "You live in a $20 million mansion. You made Alto Nights, which bombed, by the way, and you're telling me who's out of touch?" The place went absolutely nuts. Trump supporters leapt to their feet, cheering like their team had just scored the winning touchdown, while the other side of the audience looked like they'd just bitten into something sour. De Niro tried to mutter something about her being loud, but it was too late. You could see it in his eyes, that unmistakable oh crap moment when a man realizes he's messed with the wrong person. By the next morning, the moment was everywhere. Twitter was blowing up with hashtag Leavitt destroyed De Niro trending at the top, memes of De Niro's shocked face spreading like wildfire, even Trump himself tweeting out, "Our Karoline was great." Meanwhile, De Niro was over on CNN, looking flustered and uncharacteristically off balance, ranting about kids these days and disrespect, but nobody was buying it. Even his most die-hard fans were texting each other things like, "Dude, you got owned." And Leavitt? She had suddenly become the new queen of conservative media, Killer Karoline, they were calling her, proving that in today's world, a quick brain, the right clip, and the guts to stand your ground could take down anyone, even some Hollywood bigshot who'd forgotten that regular people didn't live in his gilded bubble. The craziest part? This wasn't even her main act, it was just the warm-up. Alright, let's break this down, because this wasn't just some viral moment, it was a masterclass in how to handle yourself when someone tries to bulldoze you in public. And whether you're in politics, business, or just trying to survive Thanksgiving dinner with your opinionated uncle, these lessons. Gold. Lesson 1. Never let them see you sweat. The second Niro called her a puppet, Leavitt could have snapped. She could have marched out there fists up, voice shaking, playing right into his drama. But no, she stood there, cool as ice, watching. That silence? That patience? That's power. Because when you react instantly, you're playing their game. But when you pause, when you let them hang themselves with their own rope, that's when you win. Ever notice how the loudest person in the room is usually the least confident? Exactly. Leavitt knew the moment wasn't hers yet, so she waited. And when she finally moved, boom. Perfect timing. Lesson 2. Always have the receipts. Here's the thing, Niro thought he could just drop a bomb and walk away. Classic bully move. But Leavitt? She didn't just clap back with some weak comeback. No, she pulled up the exact clip of him drooling over Obama, and suddenly, his whole "I'm the voice of the people" act crumbled. The lesson? Preparation beats passion every time. You want to shut someone down? Don't just yell louder, have the facts, the footage, the proof that flips their script. Because in today's world, if it wasn't recorded, it didn't happen. And if it was recorded, well, then you've got a weapon. Lesson 3. Make it personal, but keep it professional. Leavitt didn't just attack Niro's argument, she framed it in a way that made him look ridiculous. You live in a $20 million mansion, you made alto nights, which bombed, by the way, and you're telling me who's out of touch. That's not just a burn, that's surgical. She took his own persona, his own ego, and turned it against him. But here's the key, she didn't scream, didn't name call. She just stated facts with a smirk. And that's the move. When you can dismantle someone while staying calm, while almost smiling, that's when they realize they've lost. Because anger is easy to dismiss. A razor-sharp truth, delivered like a joke, that sticks. Lesson 4. The crowd matters, use them. Watch the footage again. The second Leavitt dropped that Obama clip, the audience roared. That OOH moment? That was the sound of Niro's credibility imploding. Leavitt didn't just argue with him, she made sure the room turned on him. And once that happens, it's over. Because humans are pack animals, we follow energy. If you can get the crowd on your side, the other person isn't just wrong, they're embarrassed. So whether you're in a meeting, a debate, or an argument with your in-laws, always play to the room. Because winning the audience means winning the war. Lesson 5. The aftermath is the real battle. Niro thought the fight ended when the cameras cut. Big mistake. By the next morning, #Leavitt destroyed Niro was trending, memes were everywhere, and Trump himself was giving her props. Meanwhile, Niro was on CNN, sweating, ranting, looking desperate. That's the final lesson, the real victory isn't in the moment, it's in how the moment lives after. Leavitt didn't just win the argument, she won the story. And once the internet decides you've been owned, there's no coming back. So whatever you do, don't just win, make sure the world sees you win. Final thought, this was just her warm-up. And here's the scary part, this wasn't even Leavitt's big play. This was her testing the waters. So the real question isn't how did she do it? It's what's she gonna do next? Because when someone's that good, that fast, that prepared, you don't just watch. You take notes. You just witnessed Karoline Leavitt dismantle a Hollywood heavyweight with nothing but facts, timing, and sheer nerve. And guess what? This is just the beginning. Every week, we break down the most explosive debates, the savviest comebacks, and the most brutal takedowns in politics, media, and culture, so you can learn how to win any argument, anywhere. Hit subscribe now so you never miss a showdown. Because in today's world, if you're not ready to clap back, you're already losing. Turn on notifications, because when the next viral moment drops, you'll want to be the first to see it. Drop a comment below, who do you want to see get taken down next? Subscribe. Watch. Dominate.